So, when I first really started getting into kind of like, at the time, what was modern music was back when I was an art student in 1992, 1993. And I remember up until this point, I'd been like fixated with like Madness would be my main thing that I'd gone into. Obviously, I'd been listening to Betty Boone, Belinda Carlisle, Transmission Vamp, stuff like that, as I've touched on before. But I kind of like, I'd gone back and I was really listening to like Madness, to Specials, Pretenders, Blondie, Elvis Costello. I kind of wasn't really listening to what the modern music was, with the exception of Jimmy Nail. So that year, or that summer holiday, there was two songs that got played everywhere, which sort of I tuned into. One of them was the Spin Doctors' Two Princes, massive song. The other song was by the Four Non Blondes called What's Up. And I loved both the songs and I bought both of them as singles. I remember with the Four Non Blondes song that there was, on the A side was the standard version, on the B side there was like a piano take of it, which I really liked. And then a mate of mine did me a copy of the album. This album here, this beautiful Bigger, Better, Faster, More. And because I'd like not been listening to really new music for a long time, I kind of like, when I got it, I was expecting it to be like another What's Up on there. And there wasn't. And I was kind of a bit like surprised at some of the styles that was on there, because some of this is like quite, there's acousticy bits on here. And there's kind of like some kind of heavier kind of rocks type stuff, really, kind of like Guns N' Roses type stuff, which is kind of like not really what I'm into. But I listened to this album because it was one of those things where I thought, I've got, if I listen to it enough, it's going to really click. And then it did. And it's now one of my favourites. One of the things I really liked about it was the album cover, because when you look at it on there, what's great about this is, I mean, it's quite visual, isn't it? But the song titles are on there. There's a song on there called Mr. President, a song on there called Spaceman, a song on there called Morphine and Chocolate, a song on there called Train. So all your songs are all on there. And yeah, it's really, really cool. But the strange thing was that album was so big. And then I think, because Linda Perry was the songwriter, front person for the band, she's got such a distinctive voice. And then I think they contributed a song for Wayne's World 2, and they contributed a song for a Led Zeppelin tribute album. And then they were supposed to go back into the studio to start the work on the follow-up album. I'm sure it's in Vox I read back in the day. Apparently when Linda Perry got in the studio, she just said her heart wasn't in it anymore and didn't want to do it. So that was that. Four Non Blondes disbanded. And then after a bit of time, Linda Perry went on to do a couple of solo albums, which were like really hard to get over in this country. The first one was called In Flight, and the second one was called After Hours. These are great records, these, but like I said, didn't make much of an impact on the charts over here. To be fair though, I mean, the Four Non Blondes' first single they released, Mr. President, that I don't remember that being on the radio over here. And then she kind of went a bit quiet. And then Linda Perry apparently got some songs together and she was going to record an album, and there seemed to be quite a bit of interest from labels and people in the, in the music business. And she bumped into Pink and a kind of friendship grew, and she decided to let Pink have those songs for her second album at a time. One of those being Get the Party Started, which, massive song. And then she kind of became like a kind of like songwriter for other people. Primarily, she wrote Beautiful for Christina Aguilera. She wrote What You Waiting For by Gwen Stefani. She wrote Courtney Love on the American Sweetheart album. But the strange thing, or that I found out a few years ago, was that she was responsible for kind of like signing James Blunt. He was over in America trying to get his album off the ground, and she liked what she saw. She signed him, and she's responsible for getting James Blunt out there. So that's quite a thing, really. But Linda Perry, I think, is a real talent, a really amazing singer-songwriter. And I believe the Four Non Blondes they're doing festival this year. So I don't know if that's going to lead to more music. I don't know if that's just a one-off show or what have you. But this is a very, very cool album, this, and I really, really dig it. So yeah, if you haven't heard this album, it's well worth having a bash because it's quality. Cheers, guys.